Today's episode is brought to you by Waxit. Transform your car care game with Waxit and make it easier to maintain in the long run. From starter kits to professional cleaning tools, Waxit can help anyone who loves their car to keep it nice and crisp. Right now, you can get 10% off all of your purchases if you use the link in the episode description, and you can find it on any of our social media channels. Waxit, lift your car care game today. All right. Onto the show. We're still here. The life of an Essendon fan, traversing their way through the maze of the footy season, only to realise we're back where we started. Have we gotten better? Have we gotten worse? Or are we still on this roller coaster that we simply just can't get off? I'm flat faithful. And I'm sick of this shit. I'm not very happy. This is the Sash, of course. Definitely not the official podcast of the Essendon Football Club. I am your host, Rob, here with you on a gloomy, rainy, miserable Monday night here in Melbourne. And joining me in studio is Joel. Hello, mate.
Hey, Rob. Really positive. As I said last week, we've gotten a lot better. Season's going in a great direction. Anyway, time for hot takes?
Yeah.
I feel like it's time for hot takes.
You watching the Olympics? Gee, those girls can swim. Ooh, fuck me.
Yeah. Look, time for hot takes, maybe.
Yeah. Let's just skip to the end of the show and I'll say goodbye.
I reckon you'd probably have enough for a show's worth of hot takes sent through.
Well, someone sent through a 15-minute rant in 4 different parts. And thanks to that person who sent them through, I listened to it all. Well done, but I'm not going to play 15 minutes.
That's like we're all going to the bathroom and having a smoke. It's
yeah.
like you just put that hot take on and then we all leave.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Go play your longest song and go out for a ciggy.
Yeah.
Anyway, now quick housekeeping, of course. Now, I understand most of you listening and viewing would be wondering why this is not the funeral. Simply put, The Undertaker, Dear Mert, is unavailable tonight due to work commitments. So because of that fact, we can't have a funeral without an Undertaker. So we're going to hold it off till next week when he is available.
Yeah.
Because let's be honest, we're probably not going to win again next week, or maybe for the rest of the season. So whether it's next week or the week after, we will do our funeral.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. This is just like all right, he's buried. We're going to wait 3 or 4 days in case there's a resurrection.
Yes.
But as we all know, it's all gobbledygook, and the real funeral will be next week.
Yeah. But basically, can't do it without the Prince of Darkness himself. So, guess we talk about the game. I don't know where to start, Joel. I really don't know where to start because my expectations were pretty low. And I was still let down, despite how low my predictions were, feelings were coming into the game.
Yeah, I'm really glad I didn't go, to be honest.
Likewise.
Yeah,
I'm glad to sit this one out.
I messaged like 3 or 4 people and then had one guy message me back and I was like, oh, maybe I'll go, but I'm really, really glad I didn't.
That wasn't you throwing your scarf on the field then?
No, yeah. Oh, there was a clip of me earlier in the year being like, I'm almost ready to wear my scarf in public. Thank God I did not. Thank God I did not, because shame. Yeah, look, as I said at the start, like I was really trying to remain positive and come halftime, I was like, okay, we're still learning. Yes, we gave up 5 goals in a row and that's not great.
We're still learning.
Yeah, sorry, Rock. I mean, it is the right word given where we're at and we haven't moved at all. But I was like, look, we gave up 5 goals in a row at the end of the first quarter or whatever, and then we kind of wrestled back momentum. Like, okay, cool. 5 goals isn't 8.
Yeah.
It's half time. We've got plenty of time to win this game of footy. And then it was 8 pretty much straight away. And you can't be going week to week, giving up 8 goals week after week in a row and winning games of footy.
No, you cannot. And then I feel like they collectively kind of gave up.
Yeah.
And that's how it felt watching.
From way too early on.
Yeah. At 3/4 time, I bathed my son, and then I just kind of didn't really pay much attention to the final quarter. I didn't feel like I needed to.
Were you giving your son a bath in order to like hide your own tears? Was it one of those types of baths? Like it's like when I get in the shower and like the Essendon have had a bad loss. It's like no one can see me in here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I was singing the bath song and splashing around, trying to cover the fact that I was ready to punch a hole in the wall.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was dark. It was real bleak. I mean, I might just tee off. I think that's what people want.
Yep.
I think people want us to go a bit rogue. They want us
Yep.
to tee off. You know, our lovely host Derek, in commiseration, because you know he's a St Kilda supporter. He's poured us a very fine drop
Thank
of
you.
whiskey. So
cheers.
I will sip away at that throughout the night. But I feel like let's just kick it off. Let's go hard, and then maybe later in the show we might be a little bit more rationale. But I want to talk about leadership.
Oh yeah.
And I want to talk about drive, and I want to talk about effort. Now, I'm going to tee off on one particular player here. Now, he's not the sole fault. It's never one player's fault. But I think it's emblematic of the team when a senior person plays like this and puts in this level of effort in a particular game. And I'm going to talk about our vice captain. I'm going to talk about Andrew McGrath, because I think every person would agree that our captain is emblematic of what we want to be.
Yep.
We want to be hardworking, run all day, and that's it. Your vice captain, you know, the first mate on the ship, he should be mirroring what the captain does. That's what you want out of someone, especially for someone who I assume aspires to be the captain one day. But jogging back, walking back as a defender, leaving paddocks of space open, pressing up way too high, whether that's the memo from them or not, I'm assuming that's what they've been told to do.
Yeah.
Not getting back, not getting one contested possession for the day.
Yeah.
And just pointing fingers when it's on your responsibility to do that, it's just not good enough.
It's not.
It's not good enough. You're the vice captain of the club.
Yep.
You're meant to lead by example along with your captain.
Yep.
And I know you speak well, and I know you're probably a good mentor for some of the younger guys.
Yep.
But if that's all you offer, retire now and become a coach, because I need you to do it on the field. I need you to do it week in, week out, because you're one of the leaders of this club, and you set the example for everyone else around you along with your skipper.
Yeah.
And he's doing it, so you should be doing it too. And I some people say he gets treated harshly because he was the number one pick, but there are times where I think he should be doing a lot more, particularly on the field, and should be leading by example.
Yep.
And this was one of the worst games I've seen him play in some time in that facet. And nothing shits me more than finger pointing. Nothing shits me more than players who don't attack the footy hard.
Yep.
Last year when we played Collingwood, at the end of the season got smashed. I remember absolutely flipping it, watching him shirk a contest. And it seemed on the weekend where he just went, oh, well, I'm just not going to attack the footy today.
Yeah.
And he wasn't alone. Again, he's not alone, but if the second most leader, experienced person on the team, you know what I mean? If the second leader on the team isn't doing it, no one else is going to do it.
It's a great start, and it is emblematic of others, and we will get to those others.
There's a long list of them.
Yeah, you're definitely right, and we don't need another player like that to drive our team forward. To be honest, his vice captaincy or leadership style is kind of contrary to what I would expect of Brad Scott. Now, I believe this leadership group was like a player-voted leadership group, and I think that's a really, really good starting point to talk on Andrew McGrath, because if it's a player-voted leadership group, it'll be very, very interesting to see if at the end of the year, someone like, hypothetically a Caldwell or something, has potentially done enough to maybe take over that spot, because and has Andy done enough to maybe lose that spot. And I'm almost all for having a captain who's a bit younger but shows that they're hungry, because then that really sends a message to the rest of them that it's not acceptable to act that way. And unfortunately, a lot of players like McGrath need a fucking wake up call, and it's not. There's no ifs or buts about it. It's been the same shit for a long time, and it's happened again and again and again. And if you're going to put your hand up for that role and potentially put your hand up for a captain role in the future, that's unacceptable anytime ever. Not once a season, not twice a season. Like, it's unacceptable if you're in that role. So even doing it once throughout the last few years is enough, but it's happened more than once.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, he played some good games this year, and I feel like we rightly gave him the praise he deserved. But I expect more from the leaders of this football club.
Yep.
I expect them to lead by example, and you can't deliver that level of an uncontested game. So that level of an uncontested game, and have the foot skills that he has. If you are one of those absolute diamond kicks who can just, needle in a haystack, just unbelievable passes, you can get away with not being that contested. But he's not that kind of player. And you need to be looking at the other leaders around you, particularly in the back line, because the guys staying next to you were just as bad as he was. And Redman has ever since he cut his hair, has not played well.
Yeah.
Don't know what's happened to him. Laverty tries, but we know he's limited.
Yep.
Ben Mackay looks lost since the bye. I don't know why he's pressing so up the ground. Like I went back and watched some of first crack today.
Yep.
And David King was just going on about it, and like it makes sense. Why was he pushing up so high at that point in the game? Because he's done so well at times this season.
Yeah.
Like first half of the year, we we're talking about what a great recruit he's been, and now I'm like, what's happened? Have we swapped twins halfway through the season? Is this Harry pretending to play defense? Like what's changed? Like the backline is all at sea, and I know like I'm tipping on McGrath here a lot. That's because I expect better from him, but the rest of them have just absolutely lost the plot. And you look at that backline on paper, and you know a few weeks ago I'm like, oh, it's not too bad, but now look at it and go, this is terrible.
It's where has it gone though? That's the thing. Like, you know, obviously there was this Essendon edge at the start of the year. Like it was something that was always going to come back to bite us in the arse significantly as we dropped off, as you know, as always happens. And we spoke a lot about it at the start of the year, and I've spoken about it throughout this year. Around our fitness level is not a season's worth. We can't have one good preseason and expect to be fucking champions. But the edge was there and the competitiveness was there. There were some fantastic games where we showed grit and we showed determination against the Bulldogs, against the Saints. Like we had games earlier in the season against the Pies where it looked like we actually had that drive and desire across the playing cohort and everyone was playing for each other. But now that like a few people have dropped off, we've got too many players that aren't consistent enough to manage, you know. It's okay to have a Jake Stringer if the other 21 blokes on the field can make up for the fact with their doggedness and their consistentness that Jake might be up and down. It's okay to have a Draper maybe in the middle if like his impact is 50% of the time. That's great if everyone around him can be a better midfielder and chase and defend more. It's okay to have one shitty defender that can't kick if we've got other people to support them.
It's okay to have an uncontested player with great skills if other people around him are tough.
We've got too many liabilities too often, you know, and it's we can't allow our players to play to their strengths because we have too many weaknesses surrounding those that outweigh it. And it's kind of unfathomable that you can go from playing the footy that we were. And you know, one of the things we spoke about a lot in the first half of the year was that we looked like we had a game style and that we were making good moves and that we were playing as a team and we were defending and our contested ball was good and our clearances were good and our tackles were good. And like we've gone through this transition where we keep getting a lot of inside 50s somehow, but we're playing like the Essendon of old and just bombing it forward and not looking and making terrible decisions and like somehow frantically getting it to the front half of the field and then shotgunning it back for them to score easily. It's just like, it kind of shocks me how this can possibly be happening or how big of a gap between our best and our worst can possibly be within a season.
Yeah. I mean, like, I think we can all agree now that we've had enough of a sample size, that the way our structure is at the moment just simply doesn't work. We are way too tall.
Yeah, absolutely.
We have no gut running smalls, and the smalls that we are playing at the moment have zero impact.
Yep.
Absolutely zero impact. Gresham's been terrible the last month or so. Menzies, since he's come back in, has done very little.
Yep.
Guelphy was average, and then he got injured.
Perk, when he came on, was...
Perk, very little impact. Other end of the ground, McGrath, very little impact. You know, Heppel, if you consider him a small, very little impact. Like, where is just the running carry guys just going end to end, just constant pressure that you see around some other teams in the league having? Like, you know, short term, I think they have to look at this and go, all right, if they're actually playing to make finals this year, because they might not be. The coaches might be going, oh, we're developing something or whatever. But assuming they are still playing to make finals, you can't tell me that they're going to look at this team and go, okay, Cox and Jones on a wing, Draper in the middle with Caddy, Langford, Stringer, and Peter Wright. You can't look at that and go, oh, that's going to be able to bring enough pressure, because it just can't. We've seen enough of it now, and the only time it looked good was against Collingwood, who just did not show up and didn't defend. We've got to look at it now and go, okay, one or two of these guys have got to come out. You've got to start making some hard calls. Now, you know, looking long term, maybe there's a long-term future where you go, all right, let's say it's Peter Wright. Let's say Peter Wright comes out, Jones goes in the forward line, because we know Jones actually did some okay pressuring.
Yep.
And then Nick Cox has got to develop to become the pinch-hitting ruckman. Like, he obviously probably can't do it very well now, but maybe that's where it's got to go long term. And then you can have Jones and Caddy and Langford there as a more of a mobile mid-sized forward line. And then I don't know where Jake Stringer is at the moment, because he wins hard footy. That's the one thing he can do that I think sometimes keeps him in the team. But he's just not what we need him to be, at least regularly enough. And I'm sitting here now going, there's 4 weeks to go in this season. He's not contracted for next year. So I'm pretty sure we can't trade him for any value.
Yeah.
Like, what are we getting out of the package?
Yeah, I think there's a couple of names that you mentioned there. I agree with the hard call.
It's going to be hard calls everywhere.
Stringer is one. Wright is definitely one. When I look at what could Essendon's next premiership team look like, and I don't think either of those guys are probably in it. Wright would have to be complemented by some significant pressure small forwards to potentially still be in this team.
Which at times, though, in this season, it felt like we had that going. It felt like we had more of these mobile players playing in the team.
Yeah.
And then as we've come up to having a full available list, but a couple of blokes who aren't guaranteed first-team players anyway, that we just suddenly play them, and it's just land of the Giants.
Yeah.
And I've been saying it for weeks on both the Monday and Thursday show. It feels like a luxury that we're trying to do this.
Yep.
And surely this is enough evidence now that twice, two weeks in a row, on our favourite ground, in the best conditions, where we should be able to set up well, that we just can't, and we get torched, running in defence because they just can't do it. Like, the amount of times I saw St Kilda players doing the most simple hand passes one to another, and whether it was Menzie or Shield or Gresham, just offering zero pressure, just trying to lay the tackle, couldn't lay a tackle, and then it would get over the top, and you'd see a Jones or a Cox trying to get back, but they're being beaten by a guy who's just has way more leg speed than they do. Like,
well, that's it.
We've got to admit it doesn't work.
We had 4 or 5 guys often chasing one St Kilda player half-assed, making it look like they were trying, and then because 4 or 5 people are just getting sucked to the ball, giving a half-assed effort, as soon as it gets over the top, they're out and everywhere. Well, look, so Stringer, Wright, Shield, obviously, Heppel, we've needed to keep a lid on it this year, and I've said that I didn't expect us to make finals, and I was trying to keep my preseason expectations alive throughout this year.
Preseason prediction, I did say we'll finish 10th, so we're on track for that. We're on track for 10th.
And so I think that's, obviously expectations are allowed to change as the season goes on, and we should probably have higher expectations now. But if we're looking back at that and we're looking at who's in our premiership side, I don't think those 4, potentially plus others, are in it.
There's a long list.
They talked about this 8-year to a flag, and that maybe that was the most realistic thing that's ever been said. Maybe we are in a rebuild, and it was like let's roll with these older guys for another year while we can, until the next draft happens or something like that. Because and that doesn't really go to the fact that we should be getting games into your Hobbs and your Roberts and stuff like that, which we probably maybe should be now. But I would almost be happier next year, I think, with a big clear out and playing youth to get a team kind of running together. Yeah. Instead of this fucking same old bouncing in and around at the 8, but not actually, if we can't rely on senior players as leaders to settle the line down, to be calm heads, to make the right decision, to slow the ball, to not be selfish, to, switch the ball, to get some uncontested possession, to slow the momentum. If we can't rely on them to do that, and they're senior players, then we can't rely on them. Yeah. And they shouldn't be playing.
Yeah, and I think that's the big issue, is that we crash and burn from a very good position, a month ago.
Yeah.
Yes, it's a tight season, but we were in a very good position. It was in our own hands, and we had some what seemed to be favourable fixtures coming up. We've been playing one of the most experienced sides in the comp. And yes, I know when you bring in a Goldstein, it can really tip the numbers and stuff there. But we're bringing out these guys who have been in the system for 7, 8, 9, 10 years, and they're just not performing. Yeah. And, you can't get away with the excuse of being like, oh, we're a young side and we're developing. How the fuck, pardon the French, are there guys who've played 150 games plus who are learning? Like, what have you got to learn?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, right, the gameplay might change a little bit here and there and a few things like that, but if you've been in the system long enough, you should know. And maybe this is just the reality call that, you know, let's say everything Brad Scott says is right for this example. Then prior to him coming in, the club was in that much of a state of unprofessionalism that these blokes have developed for 6 years and have learnt fuck all. Is that what's happened? Is that what's happened?
I mean, is that so out of the question? That probably is what's happened.
I mean, that's it. Like, have we got guys who are 25, 26, 27, 28 years old who have just been in a system that's not up to standard?
Yep.
And now we're trying to lift the standards and they're just dead weight now. Like, I think it's like, you know, obviously very flat this week, you know. I've had a weekend of me going like, why do I bother? Why do I bother doing this? You know, am I going to renew my membership next year?
Yeah.
Am I going to attend
That's
any more?
That's a big one I've been thinking
I
about.
mean, I'm at the moment, I'm clicking, you know, taking off the auto renew.
Yeah.
And I'm going to see what happens in the off season and make a decision on what I want to do, because that's how I feel right now. Like, it's obviously an emotional week. And then you look at the remainder of the season. Am I going to attend any games? Probably not.
Yeah.
I think that's me done. I've been to a lot this season.
Yeah.
I've got better things to do.
Yeah, that's fair.
And I think we're going to learn. I think there's a lot of fans who in the next month, they're either going to be one back by one performance, but that's unlikely. I don't think we see that happening. Two, by some actual hard selections. And I don't mean, we're going to take out Heppel and Jake Kelly's going to come back in. Draper's, Peter Wright's out. Goldstein's in. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Brilliant stuff, guys. Brilliant stuff.
Yeah.
What amazing selection. Like, if you're actually going to make some hard calls, make some hard calls.
Yep.
And then we hit the off season and the new list guy, Matt Rosa, is actually going to show us if this means business or not, because there's obviously a lot of guys who are uncontracted who are going to get retired or listed, stuff like that. But I think some bold moves have got to be made. There's probably some guys in this team who might have some value.
Yep.
And we've got to make a hard call and say, hey, we're going to trade you away for either
a
player or some picks, and that's what we're going to do. And I think for me right now, and again, it's fresh off a really shit weekend and a shit loss, but that's where my head's at right now.
And I think it's realistic. And I think we also have to, you know, as Essendon fans, you know, who are starved of success, it's really easy to want it straight away. But for the future of the footy club and longevity of potential success, those hard calls have to be made, I think. And, you know, like, I'm happy to be shitter if we give 100% every week, you know. I was thinking from a membership perspective, I said the same thing to Meg. I'm like, I'm not renewing my membership unless something drastically changes in the next 4 weeks. Like, I've given them my money for however many years straight, hoping them to be better. And unfortunately, maybe it's almost a form of protest to like not pay them a membership and be like, well, show me what you've got. I'm still going to watch the footy and stuff like that.
Crowd this weekend's going to be terrible.
Also, challenge to you, Essendon, subscription-based membership model. Win 5 games, it's $50. Win 8 games, it's $100. Make finals, it's $230. Make the granny, it's $1,000. I'm there. You know, that's what I want from you, Essendon. Like, put your money where your fucking mouth is, and you know, performance-based contracts on memberships.
That's great. That's great. I like that. I like that idea. You're a businessman, Joel. I think one of the things that really irks me, and like, I was looking back through a couple of press comments. I can't remember if he actually said this or not, or if it was just in my head, but like, you know, talking about like, did Brad Scott say you can't coach effort? Or am I imagining that he said that? Because I was looking back at a couple of press conferences today from old episodes.
I feel like I remember him saying, he might have said something like that, but it was more like, it's not just one thing you can say, effort is this, and you turn it on. It's like an intangible that you can't just coach effort only, sort of thing. But still.
Anyway, so I don't know, bit of a cop out, because like, you know, it was funny, like listening to David King, and David King, it was like David King had read the bloody, you know, the Sash Facebook page when the teams get put out and people go, why isn't this guy dropped? Why isn't this guy dropped? Because, you know, if you want to coach effort, you make some hard calls.
Yeah.
And whether a guy's played 2 games or 200 games, you look him square in the eyes and go, that was not up to standard. You're playing VFL this week, or you're not playing because there's no VFL game on.
Yep.
And we have not seen that at all this season. And, you know, I think a lot of us knew this, and, you know, all of us have got friends who go for North Melbourne. Would have told you that he was always he's got his boys, he's very strict with them, but there comes a point where, you know, you can't just play the kids. Because you play a team of kids, they get rolled by 80 points.
Yeah.
And you go, okay, you still need to have a bit of senior players around. But there's a lot of blokes in this team who I can't believe at some point this season haven't been admitted once.
Yeah, for sure.
And they've gotten away with the fact that they're either a big name or they're probably on a nice package. I'm not talking about Jake here, but they're on a good salary from the club. And we're not admitting them because you can't tell me that, like, I go through this list. You can't, like, so Dyson Apple got admitted at one point. You can't tell me that Jake Stringer hasn't had a stinky game that he could have got admitted to. Laverty has, Wright has. Kyle Langford's last few weeks, I would almost put him in that category. Like, like, there was word that he's had a bit of an injury, but, you know, maybe not. Gresham, don't know how he hasn't been admitted once this season. Mason Redmond, same boat. Andy McGrath, I mean, this week I feel like it, but maybe not.
Yeah.
Draper, he definitely has come in and out. But you know what I mean? Like, there's got to be some selection pressure here.
Yeah.
That if you don't perform and you don't do the things that we're requiring of you, whether you're the biggest name or the littlest name, because you know we always, it's the Essendon way. We'll happily drop a kid who's played 3 or 4 games. Yeah. But just, you know, put some heat on.
It seems to be like the only tough call that's been made all year was keeping Shield out for longer than maybe he could have. But like,
and admitting Heppel for 1 week.
It was easy, yeah. Like, I mean, I completely agree with you, and I would really, really like to see it. Like, there's no reason that, like, I haven't been watching the VFL, but Hobbs has had some great games. He didn't have the biggest game on the weekend, but he's someone in my head that always seems to be giving effort. Setterfield, from a defensive perspective, I think is going to offer us a lot more than a couple of the other players that are in the team, and he seems to always give a lot of effort. He's always really high in defensive backs and tackle. Like, so it just seems strange. And you know, if that is the way Scott is, and it continues to prove to be true, like, you also have to adapt as a coach. You know, it's not good enough to kind of shift blame in a press conference or, like, you know, get really, really emotional, emotive, which I like to see, but like, well, what are you actually doing about it? You know? And, you know, I sort of defended him last week in terms of like still experimenting, still trying to figure out this team, you know, not thinking too much about finals, thinking about process. And like, you can only say that for a certain amount of time before it just becomes hogwash. And we're not at that period yet. You know, I think we sort of said last week, it's still kind of free hit territory sort of this year, but you know, if the same thing happens again next year or whatever, but like, then what do we fucking do? Do we get rid of the whole list? Like, no. You know,
it's hard. Like I'm, you know, I saw a few like Brad Scott out comments over the weekend, which I don't agree with.
Neither.
Like, I think you're in very dangerous territory, constantly flipping managers, and you know, you like me, Joel. You know, we follow a fair bit of soccer, and you know, your classic English Premier League manager, they get turned over very quickly, but generally, a good club will afford them the time to build their team of their people. Now, our system doesn't allow you to just transfer wildly and have all these ins and outs coming every season. There's a bit of trading going on. You've got a draft, but the turnover isn't as crazy as you'd see in those competitions. Like, I would hope, again, this is hope. I don't know what's actually going to happen. And, you know, the way I feel this week is it won't happen. But I would hope that after the second season and having enough time to evaluate some more of these people on his side. Also, some contracts might be coming to the end. That he might be able to make more moves. To actually build his team of his players, because you know, a lot of these players, apart from the guys who we've brought in, they're not his players still. You know, they're the guys he's still learning about. But it's like you said, it's year 2 now. If we're having this conversation around 20 year 3, I can guarantee you, I'm not going to be sitting here talking about how, you know, we should be holding him on. Like, I need to see something. And there were times this season where I thought I'd seen it, but all year long, we've all been sitting here going, what's going to happen after the bye? What's going to happen after the bye? What's going to happen in July? Are we going to fall apart again? And guess what? We did. And all the pessimists and all the negative people, all the I told you so mob are loving it. And all of us who did believe feel a bit cheated.
That's true.
And feel flat.
You know?
Because they got me. I came in the season going, I will finish 10th, it'll be negative. And guess what? I hit the bye and I was like, maybe we're going to play finals this year. Maybe this is it. Maybe this is the year we actually finally break our hoodoo. And I started thinking about that. And guess what? I've been cheated on again.
Do you think our best footy this year was better than our best footy over the last 5 years? Do you think we were
Hard to
more
say.
competitive for a longer stretch this time than over the last 3 years, maybe?
I don't know. It's
over
hard.
the Rutten and Scott era.
Um,
Because the year we made finals with Truck, we limped into finals. That was like
Yes.
so many results went our way. It was
Yeah,
ridiculous that we made finals.
Look, a bit of recency bias in this, but I did think we were playing a really good style of football at the start of the season because it felt like we were actually hard to play against. It felt like we were choking sides. We're pressing in. I think at that Doggies game, man, that second half of the Doggy game, that third quarter, we didn't score a lot of goals, but my God, I was like, holy moly. Like, when has Essendon ever like press a team in like this?
Yeah.
And then we started to actually convert with it. It was good. Unfortunately, we had some games like, the Gold Coast and Carlton game where we did all those things right, but just didn't convert. And I was sitting there going, hey, we're actually building like a brand that is hard to play against.
Yeah.
But then the moves that we've made since that point to either make it better for us to score or I'm assuming that's been it, to try and score better, have just opened us up and either the system's bad or the players are bad or the effort's bad or it's all of the above. I think that's the answer.
It is, like, let's go full conspiracy. Is Tassie entering the league and going and swinging like a significant amount of draft picks in future? Is that playing into Brad Scott's mind and he's like, you know what? We're not ready yet.
Oh, God.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep moving the maggots around. I'm going to keep perpetuating this and we're going to just see what happens without trying to go too hard. And we're going to have one more good crack at the next draft and a few trades. And we're going to save a fucking buttload of money for Harley Reid when he's available. And then we're on.
Yeah.
Conspiracy.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, look, we should be aware. And I would absolutely hope, and I'm sure that they are very well aware, that when Tassie comes into the competition, much like it was with the Giants and the Suns, that the draft is going to be unbelievably compromised. And if you're one of those teams who is rebuilding at the worst time, and right now you're looking at a side like Richmond, who are absolutely bottoming out after a great era for them, that you could be stuck there for a long time.
Yeah.
I love, Melbourne, even Carlton had their time through those periods as well. Like you feel like you're down there for a long, long, long time.
Yeah.
So we need to be making our good decisions now so when they come into the draft and there's 20 picks and bloody 12 of them are going to Tassie, that we're not sitting here being like, oh God, who's our next first round savior going to be? We should be sitting there going, cool, that kid's going to play VFL this year.
Yep.
And I don't mean... And yes, that's what's happened this year. Our first rounders, obviously Nate Caddy's been playing, but some of our first rounders have been playing VFL this year. But we haven't been where we want to be.
No.
So, yeah.
Are you going to go to any more games this year?
I really wanted to go this weekend because it's Sunday after at the G, which is nice. But I don't know. I feel like if I'm going to go, I'm just going to be real negative and just be shit canning our players. Not in the abusive ways we've seen those videos over the weekend.
Yeah, that's actually not on.
Which is fucked, and we do not condone that.
Yeah, not at all. I think
it did seem a bit staged. I'm just going to.
Yeah, I agree. There's a good chance that it was someone who doesn't go for Essendon at all, and they were just trying to get content or whatever. But that doesn't help the situation.
No. And look, I've been very angry at games, and I've seen people very angry at games who've baked players. And usually, if you're that upset to bake a player, you don't bring your phone out and start videoing it. You just go do it. And I've sat near the race heaps of times, and I've seen people give some almighty sprays. They're not getting their phone out.
Yeah.
It seemed a little bit like, hey, watch this kind of vibe to me.
Yeah.
But anyway, don't condone it whatsoever. But that's the thing. If I go this weekend, I feel like I'm just going to upset myself because I'm going to be filthy every time someone shirks a contest or shanks a kick, more so than I normally am.
Yep.
And I'm like, do I need that for my weekend?
Yep.
I might go to the VFL this weekend because it's in my neighbourhood. I might pop down for an hour and I'll have a couple of dimmies and a can of beer and then I might leave. And then I might watch Sunday's game on telly. And yeah, I don't Friday night game against Sydney seemed like a great game to go to. Do I want to go to that now? Not really.
I think I'm going to go to the Suns game maybe. I haven't seen Nate Caddy in the flesh because I was away as he's been playing. So I feel like I need to see him play in his first year. And that's probably the biggest ticket drawing me back to the footy at the moment.
Yeah. Oh, knowing us, he'll be admitted this week. So
yeah. All right. So I guess the other people that we've flagged a few. Give me your thoughts. I feel like I put him on watch last week, and I'm not the only one. There's plenty other, but Sam Draper.
Yeah.
What do you reckon?
It's very hard watching Rowan Marshall, who was picked up in the same rookie draft as him, just be so dominant. Like if we remember round 3, 4 last year when we played Saints at the G, and how dominant Marshall was.
Yeah.
And that's just a seriously professional ruckman who pushes players. And early on in that game, you saw how much they pushed our two ruckmans. Like Peter Wright got caught running back twice.
Yeah.
Defence should have given him a chop out, and where was Ben Mackay? But Draper's like, there is something there, but there's also so many things lacking that I'm sort of starting to go, is this failed? Like, I'm questioning it now.
Yeah.
I haven't decided, like, say, he's a write-off or anything, but I'm questioning that. The thing is that he is not fit enough. He's not fit enough to solo rock a game. He's not fit enough that he can do 80% game time more, and then we have, hypothetically, a Nick Cox who just comes in and pinch hits for 5 minutes every quarter. He's just not at that level. His tank's just not there.
Yeah.
So I guess, to get the best out of him, we should be. I think we should be playing one ruck. I know we're about to play Freo, and we'll probably play two because that's what they do. But I think it's better that we do that. But yeah, I'm starting to go. Do we try another bloke?
Yeah,
I'm questioning it. That's the thing. So
I think Draper is. Emblematic's a really good word. I'm going to steal it and use it again.
Okay.
I think emblematic of the attitude issue that we probably have that Scott, I'm sure, is trying to work out. And, Scott gave him some feedback in public his podcast earlier in the year. But some of his antics, obviously, we spoke about it last week, but after the Adelaide game earlier in the year, some of the, kicking a goal early on and making a song and dance about it and then going to fucking pieces in the rest of the game. Like, that's actually not good enough from an attitude perspective. And I'd be willing to give Sam Draper, or I am willing to give him more time and more of a chance because I think he could be, he could still build that tank and start having more of an impact, as he can, really, really physically intimidating other teams and being a benchmark for our edge, but not until he pulls his head in, I think, and is like, recognizes that, you represent the club and the club represents you. And as long as the club is mediocre, you're mediocre. And that's just kind of how it is.
Yeah.
And it's not up to one person, but it's up to everyone to take responsibility on their shoulders. And I feel for Merritt, and we've spoken about it. Like, you feel for him because he's such a good captain and he deserves to go down in Essendon's history. In terms of the amount of All-Australians and the amount of best and fairest that he's won, he will go down as a great, but like, he deserves a lot more than he may end up getting in his career, which is very unfair on him.
Yeah. I mean, I guess the concerning thing with Draper is like, all right, so he's 26 in September. He's only played, I think, just 70 games so far. Yeah. Obviously, very injury interrupted. And again, this is another season that he was injury interrupted. So I guess you go, okay, can you do another good preseason and not have injury issues?
Yep.
So actually, I don't think he even had a good preseason now that I think about it. But anyway, like,
I feel like he returned late from a surgery or something.
Yeah, if I probably should have prepped that anyway. I guess the question is, what are we going to get out of him? Because the thing that irks me is that, like, again, we talk about there being selection pressure. Now, I'm not saying that Nick Bryan is going to be our next saviour, but, there has to be a point where it goes, okay, instead of it being Goldstein, because we're not going any further with Todd as a player.
No.
Coaches, great. Not as a player. Hey, you had a stinker. Out you come, we're going to put the other ruckman in. There's lots of clubs around the league who have two ruckmen who come in and out for various things. Sometimes they play two, sometimes they play one. Sometimes one's in, sometimes one's not. That just happens. So does he need that kick over us going, hey, there's another bloke who's coming up who does really very well in the VFL every single week. We're going to play him over you this week. Go back to the VFL and work on these things.
I'd like to see it.
Is that going to be beneficial for him? Like, that's the thing. It feels like he's got some of the tools, but just hasn't put it together.
Another thing I think he's maybe a little bit emblematic of, and I think this probably exists in our team, is I don't know if some of these players actually enjoy playing footy. I think maybe they were good at... No, seriously, I think maybe they were good at footy and it was it made the most financial sense for them to start playing footy because they were good at it. You know, like Draper was a good soccer player, but he probably wasn't ever going to play at X level. So it makes more sense for him to play in the AFL than it does in the A-League, you know, or whatever it is. Like, you know, I kind of feel like there's a few blokes in there who footy's not their life.
Name them.
Yeah. All right. So Draper's one of them.
Yeah.
I think Andrew McGrath, I don't know. I mean, it's a weird thing to say, but I feel like he's got this business and he's always posting about this. He's always posting about that. I think Laverde was spoken about quite a lot as it not being like, you know.
He's a pro Fortnite
player.
player.
Exactly. He loves his Fortnite.
Good on him.
You know? and you know, someone like Dylan Shield, does he love footy or does he just like training? You know? And like,
well, he loved the St Kilda players in the weekend because I think he realised he's going to play for them next season. And he was helping them up off the ground, but wasn't helping Essendon players. So.
And yeah, well, that's it. And so I look at these guys like, you know, the package. Does he really love playing footy, or does he, you know, is he just trying to make the most of getting as much cash as he can before he doesn't know what to do with himself once footy finishes? Because he doesn't have much of another skill set, I imagine. I don't know.
That's harsh.
Maybe that's a bit too harsh
That's
on Paco.
harsh. That's harsh.
Look, I've loved Paco for a really, really long time. But you did say we're going rogue in the first half of this podcast, so I'm just kind of taking a bit of a license.
This is your rogue before we get a bit more sensible. But no, I understand what you mean. Like, that's the thing. You want guys who are absolute footy heads. Now, like, you know, there are some people you speak to and you get that vibe that this is what they are. You speak to other people, don't get that vibe. I got the vibe that Archie Perkins is a footy head. When I spoke to him, all I could hear coming out of his mouth and me was just footy. That's all he thinks about. And I was like, okay, that's good.
Yeah.
Now, has that meant he had a good year? No, he's had a bad year, all in all. But then you're right. It's like it comes to the question is like, who has the desire in this team to actually get it out of the muck? Because we know the captain does. I think we all think Jai Caldwell does. I think we all think Sam Durham does.
Peter Wright was another one on my list, actually, when I was thinking about it.
Yeah.
Whether he loves footy or doesn't love footy. Like,
who knows?
Is Peter Wright just a 200-centimetre bloke who's bigger than everyone, who's like, I may as well get a paycheck for the next 10 years?
Who knows?
Or does he love footy?
I don't know. I haven't asked him. But, you know, those three guys I mentioned, they're the ones I think we can all go, they actually work their ass off for this team. And then after that, I think you can question everyone else on the side about how much they're willing to put in. Because they've all had times they have.
Yep.
But there's been a lot of times that they haven't. And I feel like now it's starting to stack up. There's been more that they haven't.
Yeah.
So
what I would like to see...
we can be more constructive now if you want.
Yeah, okay. So what I would like to see is, as you said, some hard calls on players that we need to make calls on. Heppel, Goldstein, Shield, Stringer.
Yeah.
You know?
I would hope that someone at the club very kindly taps Heps on the shoulder and we love you, Heps. Go out on your own terms, mate.
Yep.
Announce you're retiring because Goldie will this season, but he's not one of our favourite sons.
Yep.
Go out on your own terms because, you know, it was a sign that we've already admitted you once and you came back in and you weren't great.
Yep.
Shield's obviously going, as we know.
And that leaves a package uncontracted with
there's an uncontracted package. I mean, Caldwell's uncontracted, but we'd be signing him. But there's like these are the ones who are uncontracted. So Kelly, Stringer, Baldwin, Hunter, Davey, that's Jaden, Guelphy, Hind, the Weed, Wanganeen, Setterfield. Now, I think there's at least 5 or 6 guys there who are getting delisted.
Yeah.
Like, I personally would like Setterfield to stay for depth stuff, but the fact that he's not playing at the moment, we haven't been playing well, makes me think that his papers are signed and he's going.
Which is just kind of strange to me.
I know he's had some knee trouble, so maybe there's a fitness issue there, whether or not he can actually get back to you know what he did when he was at his best. But
I'd like to see those hard calls, and then I'd like to see Caldwell and Does alongside Merritt in the leadership group, and I'd like it to be those 3. And
Caldwell definitely. I'm not sure if Durham's quite the, I guess, wordsmith. Maybe is the word to use.
Maybe Caldwell vice captain, Durham leadership group.
Durham emblem. He's the new emblem. As soon as that's our word of the day.
And then I mean, because Caldwell's got mongrel in him.
Absolutely,
and he hates losing, as you were just saying before, and we need that.
Yeah,
you know, does McGrath hate losing? You know, like when I look at Caldwell after a game or when he's lost a contest, he's like fuming and filthy. You look at McGrath and he's like,
Yeah. On to the next one.
Yeah. Oh well, whatever. Oh well, he just.
Can I read you something?
Yeah,
read you a
please.
quote. We need to stand up and take responsibility for what is going on, he said. As a playing group, as a leadership group, we are extremely disappointed with where we're at right now. By no means is it all bad, but there's a lot of areas of our game right now that aren't stacking up and aren't good enough. We can understand how our fans are feeling as well, and we are really looking forward to getting back out there and hopefully making amends come Monday.
All right. I reckon
when do you think that was said?
I reckon it was said by Andrew McGrath, and I reckon it was said in maybe after the GWS game or potentially the Collingwood game last year.
No, 2022. So end of the Rutten era that was said. Doesn't feel like much has changed because I think he spoke with Channel 7 and there was a little clip of that going around. But, look, it's not his fault that he's the one who has to speak on behalf of the club because we know that, Merritt clearly hates fucking speaking to people after a loss.
Yeah, he does.
So, I do feel sorry for him that he has to be the one to go out and speak because the
guy.
club has, responsibilities they have to do for the system. But words are cheap at this point. Like, it's about actions, and that's all the fans want to see. It's all about actions, and unfortunately, it's actions for 24 weeks or whatever it is, 23 rounds, not the first half of the season, because this is when the good teams rise to the top, and we're starting to see in the comp going, all right, these teams, they could win the flag, all these teams are right in it now, and unfortunately, we've wilted, and who wants to be with the player to help us get out of this? Because right now, like I said, it feels like there's maybe 3 or 4 blokes who are really cracking in. And then there are some who look like they're happy to be there and some who look like they're just not up to it. And I think we all want to see some hard truths. I'll give you one question more before we move on. Actually, no. Here's another good quote that someone shared this in our Discord. I just want to read this out. This is good. Scott was careful to keep a lid on things earlier in the year. Maintaining the Bombers had a lot of work to do before they could be judged a true contender. It's not on his head that those who write and talk about the game excited by the prospect of a good Essendon for the first time in 2 decades. In doing so, inflaming the passions of a success-starved supporter base to fever pitch. So, obviously speaking about how much the media love to pump us up when we are good, because, there's a lot of us and it gets the clicks and all of that. And then, I've also written here that Ben Dixon is a flog because he said we were a lock for top 4. And you knew he was being facetious.
Yeah.
You knew he was being facetious. Not buying it, Benny. I'm not buying it, mate. I'm not buying it, mate.
Hawks have fucking won 8 of the last 10.
I know. Don't you love it when you see a club do a full rebuild and it seems like they've just come straight back and gone past you? Doesn't that make you feel good about football?
So great.
Doesn't it make you want to buy a membership?
So great.
Yeah.
I agree with what said Discord member has said. I think,
this is the quote is from the Raw, but someone shared it in the Discord. But
I agree with the Raw, or whoever it was that quoted to the Raw. I think our expectations should remain, but like you can't be in the top 4 into that time of the season and not feel like you're going to have a crack at playing finals at least. Like maybe not making top 4. It's kind of baffling a little bit, but it's not the losing. That's the thing. Like it's the effort. It was the Adelaide game last week when I was in here. I was able to reason with that, even though we were really, really poor. Like there was lack of structure and leadership and like lack of a calm head under pressure, which comes with time. Lack of effort and giving up with a half a footy to play, like that's not really, you can't put that down to lack of experience.
No. That's a mindset issue. And back to where we started this thing, is Brad Scott telling us that there are players in this team who've been developed poorly over this period of time because they haven't learned how to dig in and do that? There's a quote I always see getting shared around from what's his name? Who's the Sydney list guy?
Is it
Kinnear? Kinnear
sure
Bates. Anyway, it was a thing from him, and it was like, obviously, you want players who can kick, you want players who are athletic and all that, but the number one thing you need to go after is someone who has that drive and motivation. And there are so many players who just don't have that.
Yeah.
And it was a quote. And I always say, whenever Essendon's down, someone always shares that in a thread or whatever. And you have to ask that question, like, have we brought in blokes who have that drive?
Yep.
And if not, are we teaching them to have that drive?
Yep.
Some people you can't teach. That's fair enough. But, this is an issue that we can go way down the rabbit hole of, list management and all that kind of stuff, because some of that is part of the issue, but it's not the sole issue. I'll ask you one question before we go to hot takes, Joel. Assuming, and it's very likely, assuming we don't win any more games this season and we absolutely blow up, as we've already have, and we crash and burn and, finish 13th or something. What have you gotten out of this year? What is a positive that you've taken out of this year?
Okay. I'm going to say that the future of the midfield is potentially bright with Caldwell and Durham.
Yep.
I think, if I reflect on this year, at the end of this year, and we haven't won another game, I'd still be saying that about those two, because those two are still going to have a crack for the next 4 weeks, no matter what happens.
Yeah.
And they're players you can build a club around almost in the way that they go. I think in the way they go about their footy, and Caldwell's had raps on him for a really, really long time. Does has kind of come from the clouds to be as good as he is, but they're still developing. They've still got plenty of time to improve in different ways, but that makes me feel positive, and that's kind of the shred of hope that I'm kind of hanging on to at the moment, is that, like, this year, for the first time in a while, I've seen players really take that next step, I think.
Yeah. No, that's fair. That's fair. I think for me, it was just the fact that I didn't expect us to put games into caddy because, fresh, key forward, very young, was having a pretty tough time in the VFL, because the delivery can be bad and you're triple teamed and all that.
In the VFL, the delivery can be bad.
Yeah.
I reckon their delivery is probably better than in the fucking seniors.
Mate, the delivery at the hangar, you'd be surprised that there is a giant toll building next door where there's deliveries happening all day long, because somehow the deliveries at the hangar don't go very straight.
Yeah, that's right.
But anyway, having put some games into him is something I'm very happy about, because I do believe that he is going to be a very, very good player for us in the future. Give it 4 or 5 years when he's put some size on, got strong, had a few proper pre-seasons under him, and touchwood is fit and healthy. Could be causing some clubs some serious headaches. I've just written here at the end of the run sheet, Matt Rosa, what are you going to do? That's all I've written here. So what's he going to do?
He's got, he can't be judged on anything to date. So it is about what can you do, and obviously time will tell. We're not going to know straight away.
No.
Maybe if there's some really hard senior list calls and we draft and we trade effectively, then he will prove himself a little bit. But that's maybe a positive, is that there's at least a fresh perspective on list in some capacity, even though Dodo's hanging around in some way.
Yeah, because that's it. I want to see some big calls and selection for the end of the season. And I'd like to see some pretty strong calls come off season. And if I see that, then maybe you wing me back.
Can I? So before we do go to hot takes, I'll ask you a question.
Sure.
If we go to the trade table, let's say if we're aggressive at the trade table right now, let's take position out of it. Is the priority bringing in young talent, or is the priority bringing in leadership that can show what professionalism is, let's say?
It's a great question. I'm also happy that we've gotten to round 20 before we've finally had a trade chat, because there was a couple of times through the year, like after the Port Adelaide loss, people were like, "What's the Phantom draft guide saying?" I guess, look, it's hard, because I guess the question is where do they rate the list? Because if you look, I think some experience can be good, but how experienced that experience is the question. Do we need to go recruit a 63-year-old, a 36-year-old, a la Todd Goldstein? No. But if there's a player who's 25 to 30 that still has some years in them and can actually bring some good leadership, I'd be okay with that. Particularly if they've come from success. Like that's the stuff that's good. Now, obviously have brought in some players, but they haven't come from any like incredible lofty heights, nor do they seem to be that type of leader.
Yeah.
Now, who that player is right now, I can't tell you. I'm not opposed to that. Then, if they think we're miles off, then we just load up with picks. But I'm not sure where their sort of heads at. But any sort of player I think who's between 22 to 28, I think is good. Like, would I love Dan Houston from Port? Absolutely, I'd love Dan Houston from Port, but he's on a huge deal. There's rumours he wants to come back to Melbourne, but you'd have to trade for him. I think the Demons are in the box seat for that at the moment. But like, you look at him and go, well, do we need a great halfback with a deadly foot? Absolutely we do. We're crying out for it because the people we've played there, it's not their role. They're not suited for it. But do we want to cough up some of our future for that right now? I'd probably say no. Like, I think we want to still be hitting the draft with our draft hand because our future is uncertain.
Okay. I guess so.
To answer
like
your question,
I was speaking to a friend who's a Brisbane fan, and like the reverence. I mean, we'd had a few, so obviously the passion was really showing, but the reverence of which they spoke about, Luke Hodge isn't available right now. There's no one like that. But the reverence they spoke about, Luke Hodge coming to Brisbane and the impact that made in terms of like the whole way that the footy club like showed up and viewed what they did and everything. And Luke Hodge is a very specific example. He's a dual Norm Smith medalist, triple premiership player. Like, he's elite, and I don't think anyone exists like that. But like, an Elliot Yo, or is there someone in that sort of mold that still has leadership and pride? Maybe Trevor spoke a few years ago or something, like someone like that who has operated at the top level and set a standard for a really long time. Can they just come in and be a hard ass and crack the whip? And that helps.
Yeah. We had this guy once called Brendan Goddard, but that didn't work out very well.
Timing wasn't great for Brendan.
Unfortunately. Timing wasn't great. But that's it. Like, you want a player who comes out of a very good system. Like, you think about teams who've won the premierships recently. It's like, okay, is it someone from Geelong? Is it someone from Richmond? Is it someone, I mean...
Mitch Duncan.
Mitch Duncan, I don't know if he's still going to be playing anymore, but you know what I mean? Like,
that kind of thing.
Someone who's come out of a good system, is that beneficial for us? Possibly. But yeah, I think, to summarise, I don't think we should be trading our draft hand at this point because I think we could be sending ourselves back even further. All right, let's take a break. Let's come back and do some hot takes, I reckon. Welcome back. Part 2 of the show.
Woo!
It is, of course, time for hot takes. Of course, brought to you by our fantastic sponsors at Waxit. Joel, how's your car going? Is it clean at the moment? Does it need a shine?
It actually needs a shine. I've just got back, sort of been sitting in the driveway for a little bit and a bit spotty, to be honest.
Bit spotty. Well, our sponsors, Waxit, 10% off car care products. Link in the show description.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I am actually thinking about selling it soon, so Waxit's probably a good go-to for that to get a schmick beforehand.
There you go. Let's crack into the hot takes, everybody, and I'll play the intro.
Thanks, Rob. It's that time of the week where we get some totally rational and well-adjusted opinions onto the pod. On the Sash, it's Hot Takes.
Hot Takes.
All right, there we go. Let's get stuck into them. Some very good ones sent it through this weekend. Of course, apologies to those who don't get played. Whether you're too long or the audio quality is bad.
Or too wrong.
Yeah. You know what's really funny is that the first 3 that got sent through were all called Fuck 'em. And I don't know if it's from the same person, but they all just... So there you go. So thanks for those. Appreciate them. And then there's, Fuck 'em, fuck 'em right off.
Oh, boy.
Anyway, okay, let's get into some more lighthearted stuff. This one's from The Gardener. Thank you, Gardener.
It's a lovely day here in my garden. Let me go tend to my favourite plants. Well, there's my rose bush. Over there's my daisies. Got some daffodils. Brad Scott, what are you doing here? Oh, that's right. You're an AFL plant.
I love that gags kept going. Mert's throwaway comment that he's an AFL plant.
Yeah.
Good one. Let's keep moving. This one's from Alfie Boy. Thank you, Alfie.
Boys, where do I even start? This is a whole new low for this club. We are the new St Kilda. We are not going to see a grand final for 50 plus years.
Oof.
I'm 42 years old, so I've been lucky enough to see the 93 and the 2000 grand final. I'm not even sure if I'm going to see another one in my lifetime. I feel horrible for forcing my kids into this club. I've got an 8-year-old son that bleeds red and black. We can't miss a game. We're always watching every weekend. Last week we had our heart ripped out. This week I didn't want to watch, and
I feel it.
we had to.
I feel
And
Yeah.
never felt this shit after a game. This is just putrid. Where do we even go from here?
Yeah.
How do we even watch for the rest of the year?
Fair.
You can't. I'm done with this club fucking with my emotions.
I feel you, bro.
Yeah.
Ugh.
It's still going. Just gets going. There you go.
All right. A lot of people feel the same way that they're done with the club, and I think that's pretty fair. And protest. Don't pay your membership next year. Let's show Essendon that it actually has an impact. But I've heard a lot of people say that this is the worst we've ever played or the worst they've ever felt, and I just don't. We've felt this. We've played this bad.
Yeah.
We've been this disappointed.
I watched the Bulldogs kick 21 goals in a row on us.
Yeah.
I was there. So this is like, people like this
the
is...
Giants last year as well.
Yeah, people like this is rock bottom. And I'm like, is it? This is just normal.
Yeah.
This is like, I'm numb to this now. Like, I know I'm upset, but like, I'm numb to this level of mediocrity. Like, this is normal now.
Yeah, that's kind of like... I felt
it.
nothing after Saturday. Like, I was disappointed, but then I was like able to go out to the pub and have a drink. I wasn't throwing shit around. I was just like, yeah.
Oh, well,
that makes sense.
I'll put the Olympics on and I'll move on. Next one's from Bakes. Thank you, Bakes.
Evening, fellas. Just driving home from dinner with my old man. Took him out to ask him why the fuck he indoctrinated me into this absolute shambles of a football club as a 1-year-old. For context, born 1998, so genuinely was 2 years old when we were good and haven't seen anything good since. Have wanted to hang myself with my bomber scarf from a ceiling fan fucking countless times. Anyway, the question I've got for you fellas is, what actually is the problem? Because I can't figure it out. There is, in my view, no reason why we should be losing like that to a side like St Kilda. I mean, we've got a decent list. It's not the world's best list, and we're a little bit tall, fine. But it's not a horrible list. We've got some very handy players. Brad Scott apparently is a decent coach. Usually every year there's something to blame, and this time there just isn't. There's nothing. I can't think of a reason why we're so bad. So if you could let me know, apart from the obvious Essendonitis, that'd be great. All right. Cheers. Go the Plains. Fuck me.
Yeah, I mean, we could just say that the hangar was built on a burial ground and we're cursed. That's a start.
Yep. That one's a good default.
That's always a good excuse. Can't blame the injuries this year, which sucks. Can't blame them.
Yeah.
And when, like we talked about, maybe people just don't like playing footy and they just don't want it that bad.
That's correct.
There's
just a lack of ownership.
Yeah.
In the playing group, and I'm assuming that exists.
Are they renters? Are they in the rental market?
Yeah, that's right. They're running from inspection to inspection on a Saturday. They're all flustered. Their ties got a bit loose. They're dropping their pens everywhere. It's just a lack of ownership and responsibility in the playing group that obviously comes from places, and we tossed the board 18 months ago to kind of change this, and maybe it's a little bit better than it was. I don't know, but that's what I see and what shines through for me. Lack of ownership.
Yeah. Let's keep moving because there's quite a few of these and I want to try and play as many as I can. Who have I got? This is Regurgitating. Thank you. Regurgitating.
We got stung by the Saints all throughout the game. And since our last finals win, it's been way too long. We keep losing and losing over and over again. And we're not contenders, but I'll just pretend. What's at the end? What's at the end? What's at the end of Scotty's rebuild? When will this end? Tell me that this will end. When will we win a fucking final?
I like it. I like it.
We've never rebuilt though, have we? We've never admitted that we're rebuilding. We've never said we were trying to rebuild.
Nah, not really. That's always been the sort of criticism, is that we've kind of hovered around this, hit the lofty heights of 7th or 8th, or then we hit the bottoms of sort of 14th, 15th, and then we never quite hit that absolute rock bottom. Everyone sort of turns to like the 3 draft picks we had in 2020. The worst time to have 3 draft picks in inside that window, and yeah, like we've never really done an absolute full gutting, and that's the thing, is like a lot of us sort of call for it, but it is hard to live through that, and if you don't do it right, you can be there for a long time, and that's the risk you take.
But we've tried many other ways for 20 years. You may as well have a crack.
It's true.
Do you know, I'll go off tangent. I know you want to get through these hot takes. This is the last big interruption.
No, that's fine.
I feel for the Essendon media team, because it comes to a Monday and they're trying to build some how good was Zachy's goal, and they put it out there, and it's like, I feel for them, but I also feel that they're a little bit tone deaf sometimes, maybe with the postings of what they do. But I think you've got a really, really hard job if any of you are listening. So while sometimes I don't agree with what's posted because I'm hurting, I don't want to think about Merritt's goal, I also think your job's really fucking hard with what the club puts up sometimes.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, they would have sponsorship obligations to do, the goal.
I feel for you.
The player of the week post every week. It's we just got rolled. Player of the week. Oh, not the time. But anyway,
tough gig.
It is a tough gig. I also respect to the club for not turning comments off sometimes, because sometimes I'm like, Jesus, they are letting this go. Yeah. Absolutely letting this go. But anyway, it's good when Nick Giannopoulos is commenting on the Facebook page.
That was great.
It's always good when he pops up. Shout out to the Wog Boy. Let's go to Garrett in Canada. I was hearing from Garrett. This will be good.
Well, boys, here to pay my respects as another funeral is upon us. Little side note, I got my in-laws in from Italy, and the brother, he speaks English, but the parents, their understanding of English is about the same as the Bombers kicking to their own fucking teammates. What the fuck is going on? All types of kicking. Dersma kicks a good goal, and then he's fucking drunk out there. He can't make a pass to anyone. I don't think Brad Scott's the plan. I think it's David Rath. Look at fucking Kyle Langford's kicking. I don't think he's scored a goal this month. Fuck.
Yeah, tough times.
Up the plains.
Tough times. Yeah, he's got a lot of work to do, old Mr. Rath, over the break. Let's keep going. We've got Sad and Don.
Thank God Ariane Titmus won gold. Thank God, because at least that was someone with a little bit of pride. What the fuck was that? They gave up. I actually can't believe it. This would have to be one of the most embarrassed I've ever been to be an Essendon supporter. It's so disappointing, because I finally thought we were going to get to have nice things. Nope. I did it. Nope. Jesse convinced me.
Yeah, it's all Jesse.
I was on the train. I was choo-chooing. Anyway, Don's funeral pod. We're shit.
Yeah, Jesse will need to do a public apology next pod, I think. I'll apologise too for just talking us up any time. So sorry, everyone. I'm also to blame for getting your emotions up and about.
I'm sticking to my guns from last week, even though how I heard. I'm the comedic, the positive comedic relief. It's all just a joke. But yeah.
Okay. We're gonna play a bit of Choose Your Own Adventure, Joel, because we haven't got time for all of these. So I'm just gonna give you 2 names, and you can pick which one we're gonna play. So you can either go with Journey or Essendon.
I'd like to pick Jay Kelly. No, let's go with Journey. I like that. Okay. I'm thinking a song.
Yeah, let's go with Journey.
2023.
Yep.
We finished so miserably. I wondered, is this club going anywhere? 2024.
Big pauses.
We could have finished in top 4. But when we need to lift, we just bomb and lose to Crom. Don't start believing every fucking season. Don't start believing, 'cause we're shit. Don't start believing. Couldn't even beat the demons. Don't start believing, we're still shit.
Oh, that was beautiful.
Well sung.
I loved just how he held the pauses as though there was music playing, but there wasn't any music playing. So we're like, oh, what's happening next? Yeah, maybe we could. I'd love Essendon to end the seasons like the final episode of The Sopranos, where we play that song and just halfway through a game, the lights of Marvel go out and they just walk off the ground.
Yeah.
And then that's it. Season's over. That'd be nice.
Yeah, that's right.
Nice. That'd be nice. That was good. All right. Who else have I got? All right. Let's go to Jackie. Let's play Jackie.
And here we are. It's actually really funny. Like, I'm actually just laughing now at how bad it is. And, like, the false hope. Like, I remember I called up a few weeks ago. I was like, yeah, I'm wearing my scarf. I'm so happy. I'm so proud.
Yeah.
I feel like a dickhead. I've turned into an immature adult. Like, I turned it off. I went to my room and just was like, sooking. Just can't deal with it. I have no answers. The guy throwing the scarf on the ground says it all. Like, legend. Why didn't everyone there do that? Like, why? Why didn't everyone do that? We need to boycott. We need to not turn up to games because nothing is working. I actually got tickets for the Freo game a couple of weeks ago. I'm such a dickhead. Why did I get them? What a waste of money. If I go, I'm going to make a sign, and if you've got any ideas of what I should write, because that's the only reason I'll go. Otherwise, I'm just going to sit there and just cry. If I've got a sign, maybe they'll read it. Maybe they'll listen. I don't know. I have no answers. So I just watch the Olympics now and be a part of the amazing Australian swimming team and go, oh, that's what winning feels like. Oh, how good is it to be an Australian? So stuff you, Bombers. Yep. And that's it. Goodbye, season 2024. And I don't really know about next year either.
Oh, heavy one from Jackie.
I really feel it when Jackie's not feeling good as well. Gets to me.
What should be on the sign?
I was trying to think of something good to be on the sign.
Wenger out?
Yeah.
It's a good old meme.
Maybe just hashtag the Sash.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Just a go Planes.
Yeah.
Or just help me. Just a huge sign that says, please help.
We're shit.
We're shit. Yeah, we're shit. I mean, they'd make you take down we're shit, but that'd be good. I don't know.
I think...
something funny. Go for something funny.
Yeah. Something funny. Maybe on Thursday, if any good responses come into page, maybe you can put a poll on for Discord or start a thread or something. What should be on Jackie's sign against Freo?
Yeah.
Maybe bring in Tabiner or something like that.
Where's Tabiner?
Yeah. I feel for you too, Jackie. That's how I felt. I was really proud. I wanted to wear my colours for the first time in a while. I was being like a little bit arky in the office and you know biting back when people were giving us shit, telling us that we're actually better, and it's tough.
It is tough. Let's keep going. Got limited time here, so I'm going to play some short ones. So apologies to people who sent through long ones. This is Dobby Has a Sock.
I don't even think you should call it a funeral pod. I think you should just call it "We dug a hole and chucked him in it" pod. That was fucked.
Okay, that was short and sweet. All right, this one goes to 2 minutes. So I'm just going to play a little bit of it because I think you will all understand the idea. Oh, I got a notification. I think we'll all get the idea, and then I can just stop it. So here we go.
Out, Nick Cox. In, Jess Fox, canoe slalom. Out, Dyson Heppel. In, Dyson Daniels, basketball. Out, Archie Perkins. In, Alex Perkins, swimming. Out, Mason Redman. In, Michelle Haven.
I think we get the idea.
We do.
So that's the Australian Olympic Committee, which I like. That was good. That was very good. Who else have we got that isn't very long? real long ones this week. They're all hitting like the plus 2 minute marks, which are just, I love them, guys, but they're just getting a bit long. All right. Oh my God, why am I getting all these notifications? This one's from GC from the B.
Yeah, Monday morning, and my brain still can't register a rhyme because of our pitiful performance. So this is the best I can come up with this week, guys. Roses are red, violets are blue. Thank you, Olympics, for keeping the Bombers off the front and back page news. The end. Go Plains.
There we go. That's not too bad. There was another one. Someone did a poem. I'm trying to remember which one it was. We'll try this one. The Poet. Here we go.
I'm going to start my hot take with a little bit of poetry because I think I'm as good at poetry as Essendon are at running out a season. Roses are red, Essendon are shit. I hate football. They can all get fucked. Absolutely gutted that our season has gone the way it has after starting so promising. And I think what hurts me the most, and probably a lot of other Essendon supporters, is the way that it's happened. We know our forwards can mark and kick straight. We know our midfielders can run. We know our defenders can defend. We know our team can play cohesive, quality football. But for some reason, unbeknownst to all of us, for the last couple of months, they just have seemed to have lost all ability to do so. And I don't know why. We've had a great run with injuries, bar a couple of dodgy free kicks in the game against Geelong. We've had a pretty good run with the umpires. We've had a lot of games in Melbourne. We haven't really had anything that hasn't gone our way, but we've just completely lost the ability to play football. And that is what is just devastating. As for the calls to sack Brad Scott, personally, I would let him see out this year, and then I would sit him down and say that next year it's a semi-final appearance, the bare minimum. That is it. No ifs or buts about it. If he doesn't get there, he's gone, out the door, get someone else in. That's my hot take. Go Plains.
That was good.
Yeah. We destroy coaches as well, don't we? We just destroy them as well as players.
It's the black hole, mate. The black hole. The black hole of the hanger. Who else can we finish on? Who else has got a good one here? Let's go to James. Thank you, James.
The toughest thing is for people like me who are stupid enough to probably keep going to every single game and spend stupid amount of time on Bomber Blitz and Reddit and Twitter and listen to about 5 different podcasts every week and consume everything to do with Essendon. And yet I seem to give more of a shit than the players, and it's getting quite tiring. I still follow the boys, but this is getting quite rough. I'm getting quite sick of it, to be honest.
There you go. He's feeling it.
Fair. I think what we were saying earlier, and kind of Jackie said, boycott the club. It's a you can buy a membership at any stage during the year. So if at round 21, backdate your membership is what I would say. Don't be a member the whole season next year. And then if at round 22, Essendon have played out the season, then let's all give them a cash injection before finals and buy our memberships and backdate it.
Yeah. Well, it's up to you, folks. Up to you, because that's it. If you are upset, don't go. Don't get a membership. That's basically it. If you're not upset, then do. Like it's kind of your decision, really. But yeah, time will tell over the next month or so. I reckon we'll do one more. Lack of songs. I'm sorry, everyone, but most of them are just people swearing, which is nice. Let's go to Beck. Beck's always good. Let's go to Beck from Oz. There we go.
What the heck even was that? I hope you don't mind, lads, but I need a wee moment to vent because Brad Scott said it best. In today's game, there was a complete and utter lack of effort and intent. He said we looked third-rate, far from good enough for sure. In all honesty, boys, I don't know how much more of this I can endure. We were dull, we were lazy, and fuck me, we cannot kick straight. Unless we're kicking directly to the opposition, and then it's like, hey, here you go, mate. You can have the ball. In fact, I've wrapped it in a pretty little bow just for you. Now go ahead and kick that goal undefended. I'll step aside and you can kick it straight through. This is a game of skill, there's no doubt, but it's also about grit, about passion, and about drive. Basically anything a team is willing to do to keep their season alive. I guess we don't have that. I mean, I'm feeling flat and let down, and does this team not even care? We could have remained in the top 4. But for us loyal fans, now it's just complete and utter despair. We really did play poorly, in fact as poorly as could be, and I'm starting to question whether to even watch the next game. I mean, what's in it for me? Aside more tears, more heartache, more wishing, maybe it could be better. And then me having to pen to the Sash another heartbroken, bitter letter. And fans, if we don't make the finals come September, I mean, it's really still okay. We can just keep spending the rest of our lives reliving Essendon's good old days.
Beautiful. Very funeral-esque
Nice
vibes,
break.
even though we had to postpone due to the
Good one.
availability of the Undertaker. I feel you, Beck. I feel you, everyone else. Thanks to everyone who sent them in. Sorry I couldn't get through them all because we're hitting the end of our time here at the studio. And, we could go for another hour listening to people be upset, but we can't blame them all.
Yeah. Can you just send me the link after the show so I can go to sleep?
If you want to listen to the 15-minute rant from Jack, thank you, Jack. You're welcome to, Joel. You're absolutely welcome to. Well, thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks
for
everyone.
listening.
Yeah, if you've stuck around this long, well done to you.
We appreciate that.
I do appreciate your support, of course. Tough times indeed. Another season slipped away completely by the look of things. If you're gonna go on Sunday, well, good on you. Credit to you for going, because I don't think I'm going this week. Thursday preview. Don't know what I'm going to preview, but we're doing a preview on the premium feed.
Yep.
Might just be
maybe the Olympics, to just do an Olympics preview, just switch it out, unofficial Olympics preview.
Yeah, we'll just talk Olympics, I think, for the week, which will be good. Let's have a look at the roster. Who's on this week? Let's have a look. Ryan's on, so Ryan and I will have a good chat. I'm sure we'll be talking a bit about this week in this game. Jolly, final thoughts from you, mate? Are you feeling better than when you walked in the studio? Are you feeling worse?
I feel nothing.
You're numb. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also feel nothing. I was like, this is a nice whiskey, but much like Essendon, it all amounts to nothing in the end.
Yep.
Just chasing that.
I'm looking forward to the season being over, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah. It's both a positive and a negative. There's still 4 weeks to go.
Yeah.
Because, great. You'll be done 4 weeks. Oh, no. Still 4 weeks to go.
Yeah. Go Dons. Let's have a crack.
Yeah.
Onside.
Let's have a crack. Have a crack. Drop some blokes. Make some calls. Put some people in we haven't seen for a little while. And let's see if they have a dig at it because, you'd think there might be a couple of blokes playing for their careers, but it doesn't seem like it the way things are going. Anyway, thanks everyone for listening. Thanks to our sponsors. Thanks to premium listeners. Thanks everyone on YouTube. Look after yourselves. Bye.